We're turning this small old cabin into a dream forest chalet with no experience. I'm Liane, and this is my husband Mikus, and this is our wild do-it-yourself cabin build series. Today's episode, framing. Demolition is finally behind us, and Mikus's brother sticks around for one last week to help us turn this miserable wreckage into, well, hopefully a house. We have no framing experience, a totally made-up deadline, and way too much YouTube confidence. So naturally, we dive right in. We'd always dreamt of a light-filled mountain chalet with huge windows and an open layout. Literally the day we made an offer on this cabin, Mikus was already at a coffee shop designing it in Revit, with no clue if our offer would even go through. The plans looked pretty legit, except being an electrical engineer, he had no idea how to actually frame a building. So instead of structural beams, he borrowed ductwork from HVAC library and called it good. Improvisation is part of the process here.
All right, boss.
We saw a tutorial on Pinterest about raising the ceiling, and it stuck with us. Then we thought, why stop there? What if the entire tall wall was windows? At first, it sounded insane, but the more we pictured it, the more it became the heart of our design. And no, it was never going to be one giant sheet of glass. That would have been insanely expensive, nearly impossible to install, and way out of our league. Instead, we pictured a grid of stacked windows, 3 high, 4 across, with grills so the whole wall would glow up at night like a lantern in the forest. That vision turned into the biggest design feature, and the biggest headache of this entire build. Look at this zigzag. Think it's just for looks? Nope. Normally, you would stabilize a wall like this with cross bracing in the corners, like the diagonal in a picture frame that keeps it square. But we wanted an unobstructed view, no cross beams, just glass. So Mikus engineered a workaround, a narrow support tower on the left with a custom stair pattern brace hidden inside. It's basically the same principle you see on railway bridges. Those zigzags let the bridge carry huge loads. We flipped it 90 degrees and built it into our wall. That single tower is the reason this massive window wall doesn't sway like a drunk moose. And honestly, I'm curious, what would you have done to keep it standing? The first walls go up easy, simple structure, mostly assembled on the ground. With Mikus' brother helping, we're flying. Then we hit the real problem, the roof beams. These things are absolute beasts, 20 feet long 6x15s and way too heavy to just throw on our shoulders. So how do you get something like this 15 feet in the air without a crane? We try ropes, we try a winch. At one point, we're half joking about strapping it to the car and just driving really fast. Still, nothing works. Finally, I make an emergency harbor freight run and come back with a hoist. Mikus and his brother whip together this sketchy but kind of genius wooden tower. We hook the hoist to the top and it actually works. Watching that beam rise into its place feels like a small miracle. To make sure the roof could handle New Hampshire snow loads, we went big. Not one, but 2 massive horizontal beams across the house. Did we do it the official engineer way with formulas? Nope. More like, if 1 beam is good, 2 beams are a better method. Later, our local lumber shop confirmed the numbers, and it turns out we built it stronger than it needed to be. And that's okay, because they look really cool. But the real monster is the front wall. It's way too tall and heavy to build on the ground, so we frame it 1 beam at a time. We're lifting these massive 20-foot studs into place, with nothing to lean them against and no scaffolding to make it easier. Every stud feels like it wants to tip over. If one falls, it's game over for the wall. And probably us too. Our only option? Tiny temporary braces tied into the roof beams, just enough to keep the whole thing standing while Mikus climbs 20 feet up on a ladder to nail in the king studs and seals. For the tall posts, we actually nailed together 4 standard 2x6s instead of using one giant beam. Here's why. Big beams like to warp over time, but when you sandwich 4 smaller ones together, each wants to move a little differently. And they mostly cancel each other out. It's cheaper, sturdier, and later we can wrap them up in decorative wood so they still look like huge timbers. Would we recommend building a 20-foot wall without scaffolding? Absolutely not, but here we are. This process is terrifying, slow, and sketchy. But then suddenly, the wall locks into place. And for the first time, the cabin actually looks like a house.
Looks like something is going on there.
Looks legit.
As soon as we put the ladder, it starts looking very normal.
We wrapped the structure with zip system panels. Instead of using traditional plywood with house wrap, these panels come pre-coated. You just tape the seams and it's instantly weather-tight. It saves a ton of time and honestly feels like cheating, but in the best way. With the walls sealed up, it's time for the roof. We use these massive TJI joists. They're shaped like an H, engineered to span long distances and carry serious weight. Perfect for New Hampshire snow loads. Each one gets fastened with hurricane ties so the roof can handle the brutal northeast storms. Overbuilt? Maybe, but that's exactly how we like it. Once the tall section is sheeted, Mikus' brother heads home and suddenly it's just the two of us. We pause to celebrate. Nothing like a roof to make you feel like you're actually winning at this whole building a house thing. Next up, windows. And not just any windows, this whole 20-foot wall of them. One by one, we tape, lift, and set them into place until the entire wall fills in like a giant puzzle of glass. With every piece, the structure feels sturdier and the house feels more real. I'm so nervous about the height that I pull out my old rock climbing gear to clip myself in. Meanwhile, Mikus is just casually walking up and down the ladder with no harness like it's nothing. Would you be clipped in like me or go full Mikus Daredevil? For me, this is terrifying. But I push through, and when the last window clicks in, it's pure magic. Suddenly, the wall we've been dreaming about is standing right in front of us, glowing in the daylight like a lantern in the forest.
Monday progress! Windows are installed!
We're not pros, but we're building this place with our own hands, learning as we go, Googling everything, and trusting our guts. If we can do it, you probably can too. And as you can see, you don't have to be crazy to do this, but it definitely helps. Next time we want to share a little bit more of what really goes on behind the scenes, the stuff you don't usually see in a build video. So stick around and subscribe so you don't miss it.